Captain America, Brave New World is #1 at the box office and showcases Sam Wilson in his first feature film carrying the shield. But how is Marvel's latest film? Let's break it down in this episode.
What's up, movie friends? Welcome back to Raiders of the Lost podcast, the ultimate film and TV podcast, and today we're breaking down Captain America, Brave New World. It finally came out. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it We'll find out today in our big breakdown of the movie. James, initial thoughts. Let's hear it.
I mean, the thing with Captain America, Brave New World is, you know, there's so much around it outside of the movie in terms of behind the scenes. Was it reshot multiple times? Did it get rewritten? How many times was this movie edited? I went into this movie with mid to low expectations, and that's really where it hit. And if this is the state that Marvel's at, this is kind of what Marvel's DNA is, I mean, that's fine. This movie didn't blow my hair back. It was really nothing new for me. It seemed like they were trying to do a couple different genre pieces they've done in the past and mash them together. I felt most closely, obviously, Winter Soldier vibes, but it also felt like a spiritual sequel to The Incredible Hulk, which I wish they kind of leaned more into that direction versus trying to go with this dark espionage film, because you can do that, but once you start having battles in the air and you have a giant Hulk and then you also have a villain with a giant green head, it kind of takes away that political espionage thriller you're going for, because then it just turns into the second, third act of most Marvel movies or most superhero movies with big bombastic showcases of CGI in action, which, you know, I think Red Hulk was cool and it looked awesome. But in terms of the anticipation for this movie, in terms of what we got, it was fine. It was okay. It was kind of funny, but, you know, I think that Marvel, we're entering a new stage with Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, but this probably was the last movie of the last 4 or 5 years era of Marvel's post-Endgame, where it's been kind of same blueprint. These movies are very safe. They're, you know, audience tested to the ass, like, so it can't offend anybody, and they're not really taking chances. This movie, it doesn't want to be so bad that it doesn't take any risks to be good, if that makes sense.
I think safe is the best way to describe this film. It is a safe film. We see in this film so many of the same scenes, so many of the same character types, villain archetypes that we've seen countless times, not just in Marvel movies, but in so many movies nowadays. And it's just, this really felt like a kind of a lifeless film. There were some good aspects to it, and there was something there. There was something in this movie. If they had just like honed in on it and actually had an actual artistic direction that they could just focus on, I think it could have been a pretty good movie. It had its moments. It had a couple of good dramatic beats we'll break down. Some good acting from, I think Mackie was great. I think Harrison Ford was fantastic. Mackie and Sam Wilson, I think he's good as Captain America. I think he was a good pick. I think that Mackie's carrying the film, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in more Avengers films. That's something you can take away from this film. Mackie being part of the Avengers, we're going forward. I'd like to see him in a very big role in the Doomsday films, because I think he really nailed it as Captain America in this film. And I was kind of a little mixed on him when they chose him, because I liked Bucky and what that could have been. But I do think that choosing Wilson and Mackie was maybe the right move for them and the best possible move they could have done with Captain America. There's some good moments in this movie. And then there's moments where it's just, I really didn't care too much about what was going on. And I didn't really like the villain. And I didn't really care. Honestly, an hour and a half into this movie, 90 minutes into the runtime, I was like, I'm not really that interested in even how it ends. And that's not something you want with a movie. It had a pretty good first act. I liked the older Super Serum Captain America that the world has not known and many have forgotten. I thought that was a really intriguing aspect. This movie had a Manchurian Candidate storyline, although they really dropped the ball with that.
They should have leaned more into that, for sure.
I think when I was watching this movie, I'm like, okay, they're going Manchurian Candidate, and then they just Marvel-fied it. The Manchurian Candidate, if you haven't seen it, Frank Sinatra starred in the original, and then Jonathan Demme made the remake with Denzel and Liev Schreiber. Both excellent movies, and it's a really fascinating story. And that's a story that is about soldiers who were brainwashed by scientists and megacorps to essentially put a sleeper in the White House. And it's a brilliant story. Both films are fantastic in their own ways. And that movie does a really incredible job of showing the brainwashing, of showing the mind control. And it's really disturbing, and it's really cool. It goes pretty dark, and especially the Demi one, it gets pretty graphic and really cool imagery. But it's an amazing tone, and it's a really fascinating concept, which is why both films are so strong. This movie pulled that idea, but never explored it beyond the point of, I play this song, and people are immediately brainwashed and do exactly what I want them to do without me explaining what I want them to do. And I can just do it to anyone. Doesn't really make any sense. In those films, The Manchurian Candidate, it's extensively done to these soldiers over time and corrected and improved. And then they are brainwashed into doing specific things. But when I was looking at this with Tim Blake Nelson, Samuel Stearns, his mind control just became, I can make a phone call, and for some reason, these people will do exactly what I need them to do. And so they could have gone really dark. They could have made some really interesting sequences and really great narrative choices with a Manchurian Candidate-like storyline. But they just were like, okay, it's brainwashing, but we're not going to explore how it happens, why it happens, or how it's affecting anyone. I think they really dropped the ball on that.
They really could have explored it a lot better, especially the music being the key, because the first attack where the music plays, you barely hear it, and then immediately the character reacts. Yes. And it's just like, it sounded like someone's phone, like kind of.
Yes.
Like, what if you didn't hear it? I barely heard it. But
was the sound mix a little funky for you?
I wouldn't say funky.
It was a little quiet at times.
Sometimes, but that's what I mean. Like the first phone call that tripped off the former Captain America, played by Isaiah Bradley. I barely even heard the ringtone, but I already knew what was going to happen. That's what I predicted. And so when I'm watching it, I'm thinking this is Manchurian Candidate vibes, but they're just going Winter Soldier with it instead. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A brainwashed super soldier. Now, this was directed by Julius Ona, screenplay by Rob Edwards, Malcolm Spellman, Dalen Mousson, Julius Ona, and Peter Glanz. That's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Story by Rob Edwards, Malcolm Spellman, and Dalen Mousson. IMDb 6.0 right now. Rotten Tomatoes, it's rotten. Critic score, 50%. Audience score, 79%. Letterboxd, pretty bad at 2.6. About a third of the ratings are 2 or less on that. On a budget of $200 million with a huge marketing budget. This movie, opening weekend, domestic, 4-day weekend was 104 at the box office. After meeting the newly elected President Thaddeus Ross, Sam finds himself in the middle of an international incident. He must discover the reason behind a nefarious global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seeing red. But that synopsis is not fair, because is this really a true mastermind? You know, this is a villain problem for sure that Marvel has been having consistently. You know, Stern is the main villain in this movie, but he's not that intimidating. I didn't love the look. It didn't look great. He had the concept of this classic, I'm smarter than everybody, even though I get outsmarted every step of the way.
Yes.
Which is just constantly makes my eyes roll. It's like, if he's smarter than everybody, how is everyone outsmarting him? And then he's also has this problem. This movie has so many right place at the exact right time. How does he know to be here at that exact moment? I don't know. There's a scene where the Navy SEAL guy gets a call from Mackie. He's like, hey, man, what happened with those? What's up with those pills? And then Stern's on the hill.
There.
They're doing training at a tactical headquarters for the Navy SEALs, and he just happens to be on this hill, just happens to know exactly at this moment that this Navy SEAL is going to get this call from Sam Wilson at this exact time of day. He just happens to be there so he can kill him. What are we doing here? Like that scene when that happened, I'm like, I'm cooked. This movie's cooking me too much.
And just to correct, it wasn't Sam who called him. It was his science guy who called him back with what the pills were.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I totally agree. You told me that something was going to happen, and I was like, that's definitely what James was talking about. He knew exactly where this guy was going.
And this villain was just consistently. I think the villain was maybe the worst part of the movie for me. Stern was possibly not that.
And we loved Tim Nelson.
He's a great actor.
He's awesome.
But the villain I did not like, because it's a thing that a lot of common comic book movies do nowadays, where they're trying to build drama so artificially, and you have this character who's in a room by himself, and he's playing with the shadows to hide his face from the audience, and there's shadow just from lip up, It's like he could just walk into the shadows, and then having this red light laboratory makes no sense. And then he's sort of just playing with an LED remote control when he lets them in, and he's like, "Oh, I'm happy to see you found us," or whatever.
You can't even see it that lab.
He's just like got like an LED remote. He's like, "I'm gonna turn the lights on over here." And it's just, you're building suspense for the audience, but there's no need to. There's no one in the room.
Can't even see in that lab. What kind of lab is that with these red lights in a laboratory?
So
what is going on?
I'm getting sick of the fake aesthetic to force drama on audiences and force tension on audiences, which it didn't really work really well. And I think the music was trying to do that as well. The music in this movie was kind of just bashing you in the face, being like, feel this way right now.
Yeah.
Even though the scene, the dialogue, and the performances aren't giving me that tension, I want you to feel tension right now. It just didn't match.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was an absolute villain problem. And as great of an actor as Tim Blake Nelson is, what he was working with was just really paltry in terms of interesting dynamics. And then I just found I found that there were no stakes to this film, even in the climax. And also I felt like there were no stakes when Ross went Red Hulk.
True.
I think that I never felt like anybody was in danger, and I never felt like anything bad was going to happen to anyone. And that I think it's a problem when you don't feel like your characters can lose, because that's what stakes are. And when the conflict doesn't feel real, it takes you out of the movie, where it's just like, I mean, okay, here we go with this flying climax. They're definitely going to stop the world from getting into World War III, and Sam's going to, end up beating up the Red Hulk, and I get it. I was like, none of it surprised me. And Tim Blake Nelson's Samuel Stearns was a really disappointing villain. But I mean, he's a villain. This is a sequel. This is his sequel to a movie that was made in 2009, The Incredible Hulk.
I think it's earlier than that. It was like
something like that with Ed Norton. It was right after Iron Man, or right before Iron Man.
Okay, it was right. Yeah, it was right before. I think it was like 07.
Yeah, we're talking about almost 20 years ago, and we're finally getting like the next thread of this storyline.
2008.
2008. So Jesus, that was 17 years ago, and I think that I would have preferred to see a Hulk sequel 10 years ago. It would have been way more interesting in getting him back, because they set him up at the end of that film with his brain going bubbling and stuff.
I forgot about that. Then I saw him in the movie. I'm like, that's the guy from Hulk.
Everyone forgot about it. I mean, it was just, it's a weird thing to do so many years later, and just felt very disconnected and disjointed, and very forced to get him involved in this storyline with Ross and the heart pills and stuff. We'll break down a lot more of that, obviously, but I will say Mackie is terrific in this film.
He's an amazing actor.
He really brought it. I think he deserves the shield. I think he is really great to have passed for having the shield passed on to him. Like I said earlier, I think he's going to be really a pillar of reliability in the future of the MCU as an actor and as a character. I think that the Captain America shield is safe in his hands for a long time, and I was just really happy with his performance. I think he was just like, I didn't like Falcon and Winter Soldier. I didn't really like this. I think he was just stuck in two just mid-par, slightly mediocre stories that just failed to interest me at all.
Do you think he needs to take the serum now, Sam Wilson?
Here's the thing. I like Sam not having the serum, because he and Bucky... And also, it's a problem with the cameo in your movie is like the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
Him and Bucky have a great chat in this. Spoilers, when Bucky shows up when Joaquin is in the hospital, and what they allude to, Sam wishes he took the serum. He says it multiple times in the film, and this is here in this scene. Bucky's convincing him, you were right not to take it. Just because I have the serum, or just because Steve had the serum, doesn't mean we were able to save the day every time and save the ones we loved. And I get it. And honestly, the only joke in the entire film that worked was when Wilson goes, Bucky was full of shit. That was the only joke. There were a lot of jokes, and that was the only one that worked. But I think that it's interesting that Sam doesn't have the serum, but they make him... They act like he has the serum in the action scenes too much.
I wouldn't say they act like they make him have it. He's just insanely skilled fighter, which he's a superhero, which is fine.
That's totally fine.
He's basically, the way I look at Sam is he's Batman. Now, with all this tech, he's got the Wakandan technology for his wings and his mask. He's absorbing massive blows, massive amounts of energy, which was cool.
Yeah.
And that makes sense to, all right, we're not going to give this character super serum, but how can he possibly fight a Hulk?
Yeah.
How can he possibly take on 30 guys with guns on the ground? Sam Wilson's a human at the end of the day. He's not as skilled of a fighter as Black Widow, I would say, or Black Widow spy. But give him Wakandan tech and some other tricks, and he's being trained by a super soldier. So then that makes me believe that Sam can fight back against a Hulk and hold his own against the Hulk. I mean, he almost dies against the Hulk. Once the Hulk gets
he stood up and he seemed pretty fine to me. When he stood up after the concrete slabs were lifted off of him.
But it's the only way for it to work is he has got the shield, he's got the wings now, he's got the Wakandan tech, he's got more Wakandan tech, and that makes sense to me. He's more like Batman. But I think you're right. The best part of this film for me was the message that Bucky's giving Sam, which they ruined with this. They ruined this incredibly dramatic moment.
Yeah.
I was almost on the verge of like emotional tears. I swear to God. Bucky's giving this great speech to Sam. He's very emotional. Sebastian Stan is so talented. Both these actors are awesome, and they love each other. You know their friendship in real life is so powerful, and you see it ooze on screen. And it's so dramatic, and I'm like, this is fucking awesome. And then they ruin it with the jokes, and it's all, who wrote that? Your speechwriters? Yeah. It was fine, but I was invested in that emotional moment. And then they just said, "Fuck you! No emotional moment for you. Here's a joke instead."
Were you gonna cry? Well, how about you laugh now?
They ruined it. You know, it was the only time in the movie I was actually feeling anything, and then they spoiled it for me. But the message there is great. You know, Bucky's like, people can make a difference. A normal human being, a normal man can make a difference. You don't have to have super serum or be super powered. And I like that message. It's very strong because anyone can relate to that. And later on, you know, we have Joaquin in the hospital bed saying like, I looked up to you. I wanted to be Falcon. I wanted to be just like you.
Yeah.
And Sam dealing with that internal struggle, wondering whether or not he deserves the shield, whether Steve gave it to him was the right decision, and also, should I take the super serum? I think that's the best part of the movie because it actually has to do with this character arc. We're getting a lot of big budget movies that have really no character arc except for like a physical transformation, new costume, or a facade of a transformation. That's an actual internal struggle that anyone can relate to, and you can see Mackie bearing the weight of.
Yeah, I would say I agree with you. It was a great and emotional moment, and then the quip lessened it for sure. I would say the best scene of the film was the final minute between him and Joaquin. And Joaquin, I think Joaquin saying that he was his hero was the best part of the film. But again, alluding back to the super serum, what I mean when I say they make it seem like he has super serum is Sam gets some pretty brutal injuries in this film and never seems to even flinch. He gets stabbed right in the lungs.
That's like a 3-inch blade.
By Sidewinder.
Yeah, in his right
and he's
lung.
like talking no problem and things like that. And also in the second half and the third act, he starts using his jet propulsion engine to help him in combat. And there's two instances, one during the big flying sequence and then one versus Hulk, where he starts using the jets to help build even more momentum. You know what I mean? So he can be in the sequence.
Because he stops a pull.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he's still using his arms to hold the pull and push the pull. But the jets are giving him the power to boost it, but like his arms would snap off.
Yeah.
And then like he's also holding the shield up against Hulk bashing it. It's just like, that's what I mean when it's like, there are moments where it's like, it looks like he has super serum right now, but he doesn't. That's what I mean.
I get it. It's a superhero movie at the end of the day. You know, we see Natasha Romanoff do crazy stuff. You see...
She never stopped the Hulk punching.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what I'm saying.
He's got Wakandan tech, and that's the argument of the shield. The absorption of that metal can absorb momentum, right? So it absorbs kinetic energy. So that's obviously, I think, what they're playing with. And it is what it is. I accepted that going into this movie because, you know, but I mean, another thing that this movie does well, though, I think the Red Hulk looks awesome. And
great.
It looked really terrific, and Weta Digital did this, and you know they're one of the best visual effects companies out there, besides ILM. And I really thought they did a great job making this Hulk look a little different than the Hulk we've normally got. Obviously, really pushing into the aesthetically, the facial structure of the actor playing it. Ruffalo, of course, with Hulk looked like Ruffalo big time, but I think even more, Red Hulk looks more like Harrison Ford than any of the other Hulks looked like their actors, and I think it benefited from that.
I think the Red Hulk looked absolutely fantastic, and I would agree with everything you just said. I think it's the best looking version of a Hulk that we've seen. The skin texture, the facial movements and features, the eyes, the mouth, everything seemed very real. And I got to say, it was the most impressive visual effects of the entire film, without a doubt, bar none. And it really did, like you said, it really did feel like Harrison Ford. And I loved it. I think it was the absolute highlight of the film was the visual effects of Red Hulk. I think they nailed it, because if this didn't look good, it would have been a really sour moment for fans if Red Hulk didn't look good. So they put a lot into it, and it really paid off.
So just quick behind this background on the visual effects. Weta visual effects supervisor Dan Cox said they explored various design aspects from the comic books. It did not want the character to just look like a color-swapped version of the Hulk. They hoped to make him more intimidating than the Hulk, with a more upright, athletic posture. They wanted the character to feel more tactical and methodical due to Ross's military background, and referenced a bear for poses, which I kind of got that feel when I was watching like in the background a lot, where the character is on all fours. Ford's facial features were incorporated into the design based on scans of his face. The climactic confrontation between Red Hulk and Captain America in Washington, D.C. has more than 300 visual effects shots. Awesome sequence. But I do have a problem with the Hulk in this movie. And it's not the movie's fault. It's the marketing's fault. The whole marketing is Sam versus Red Hulk, which I get. You got to get that shot on a poster. You got to get that shot in the trailer. However, we knew going into this movie, I knew going into this movie, because of how much Red Hulk they've shown, he's just in two locations. He's at the White House, and he's where the cherry blossoms are in D.C. So every other moment where Thaddeus Ross is having a moment of weakness, where he's almost succumbing to a transformation that he's not prepared for, doesn't know what's happening, to take those pills, when we're inside the battleships, or he's getting frustrated at the meeting with his people inside the conference room, slams the table. But the battleship scene specifically, I know he's not going to transform into the Hulk. So the whole sequence of him on the phone being talked to by Stern trying to egg him on, like, feed into your rage. Let's just let it out. You can destroy everybody. I knew he wasn't going to turn into the Hulk, so there's no suspense. There's no stakes. I know everything's going to work out fine. You talked about how the lack of suspense. That's one of those moments where if we went into this movie not knowing where and how he'd be transforming into the Hulk, I would have been on the edge of my seat like, oh my God, is he going to turn into the Hulk right now? But I know for a fact he's not turning into the Hulk right here. I know for a fact the first time he does, which is in the trailer, is at Washington, D.C., at the White House, because the reaction of the reporters, they make him red now because no one's seen it happen before. That has to be the first and only time he transforms into the Hulk. And then, obviously, the cherry blossoms, so it kills any suspense of Thaddeus potentially turning into the Hulk at any other point in the movie.
I completely agree, and I thought the exact same thing. When he was on the boat, and even though Stearns is tormenting him in the headphones, he just keeps the headphones on also. When I was watching that scene and Harrison Ford is like delirious in the hallway, I was like, just take the headphones off. You won't have to hear him tormenting you anymore.
Woosah.
Yeah, bro. So that, and then on top of it, I was like, well, it's definitely not this is definitely not the moment, because in the trailer, it's obviously the first time he turns red. And the thing is, like, I think maybe 6 years ago, they would have been able to hide it in the marketing.
Probably.
I think they probably would have been able to keep this a secret, and they would have just, my guess, I'm speculating, but I'm guessing the initial teaser trailer where they just showed Red Hulk's foot after he slams the shield onto the concrete, I'm guessing maybe they weren't looking to reveal who it was in the marketing, but I think traction was so low with the film that they were like, we need to show more Red Hulk in the trailers, which gave it away as being Ross, obviously. Maybe if they 6 years ago, they probably could have hid Red Hulk from the trailers, except for like a fist or a foot in the poster, or like a back shot in a poster, so the audience wouldn't even know who the Hulk was. That's probably what they were intending, maybe, with the marketing, keeping it more secret. But also, and again, because it seemed like in the film, they made it seem like it was a twist reveal that he was Red Hulk, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
They made it seem like, oh my God, it was Ross's Red Hulk.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, I'm not sure if the marketing was supposed to originally intentionally reveal that Thaddeus Ross was Red Hulk in the film.
I'm in that same boat as you.
Yeah, because it looked like the narrative was setting it up for a big twist reveal, but we already knew it, so it had no weight upon it.
Yeah.
And when it was revealed, it was just like, yeah, I've been waiting for this the whole movie, as opposed to it being a shocking twist. Because I think if they weren't trying to hide it, they would have showed Red Hulk sooner.
Yeah, they just dove too much into it.
I think that this was supposed to be the big show-stopping sequence that was going to blow people's minds, and that was going to be like very slightly tantalized in marketing. But then I think that just to get the projections up and get box office grosses up, they had basically had to throw everything into the trailers.
Yeah, because can you imagine going into this movie knowing Red Hulk's in it, but not knowing to what extent and also who the Red Hulk is?
Yeah.
I mean, I think probably in the comics you would know who it is, but still, for the average moviegoer, it would have been a shocking sequence to see Thaddeus turn into the Hulk. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. And they could have, I mean, I think it would have worked better if that was the plan. They could have had a couple of plant characters to make us think that maybe they were going to be a Hulk.
Sure.
I think that also could have maybe improved the narrative to make it a more of a guessing game for the average audience member.
Yeah, I totally agree. Something else, though, that they did pretty well, finally bringing up the Celestial, the giant stone god that's in the middle of the ocean, in the Indian Ocean, making this a main centerpiece around the plot that does get overshadowed at times with all this other stuff that's happening. The main plot of the movie is Thaddeus, his adamantium gets stolen, and they're trying to track down who did it, even though we find out eventually what happened to the adamantium and why it was stolen. But it's cool to finally talk about it. Talk about this giant god frozen in stone in the middle of our Earth, just standing out. But also connecting it to, countries rushing to get resources from other areas and setting up this potential world war between massive superpowers like Japan and America. It probably would have made more sense to go with China versus America.
Why is China not there?
Disney needs their market.
They would have been the first country there.
They need their market. You can't.
I was watching this movie. I was like, why does China have like an entire fucking base there?
They need
They already would have cut off the head and brought it back.
They got seats to fill in China at the movie theaters. Lots of seats to fill. So I think that's probably why they went with Japan instead of China, which again, China would have made way more sense.
Yeah.
Now, what the Celestial and finally talking about it does is it sets up X-Men and
So this is what you were talking about.
So we were talking about it the other day in our movie news episode.
You're like, the plot of Captain America: Brave New World sets up the X-Men, and I was like, how?
I'm
What?
like, the entire plot.
I was like, what?
Adamantium.
Yeah.
Adamantium sets up this sprinkle that that Kevin Feige told us they're going to start sprinkling more things into the MCU to get us ready for X-Men, which is smart. He said he doesn't want to just turn on the fire hose and shove it down people's throats. This way we get prepared. We're easing into the connection between these two worlds. I'm sure Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts will have plenty of that as well. But yeah. Adamantium sets up X-Men, sets up Wolverine and Logan, which is really cool. Obviously means that they will recast Logan, Wolverine, and we'll get a new one, obviously. Hugh's 107 by the time they get a Wolverine movie going. But I think it's clear. That's obviously setting up the X-Men.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right.
So I think they did a good job doing that. I think that's cool. Make that the plot. But oftentimes that plot sort of disappeared for other things that didn't really narratively connect us to the story as well as this did.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't. I mean, it ended up just being a MacGuffin in a way.
Yeah, very much.
It was just kind of like a MacGuffin, get the material. And I will say, so someone we haven't touched on yet, Giancarlo Esposito. Everybody loves him.
Yep.
He's the man. He's awesome.
He's great.
I just really didn't see the point of his character and like why he's even in this movie other than just to serve exposition for the audience. Like that seems to be like all he was put into this film for, which was confusing for me. Like he's such a big name and his character was kind of like, in a way pointless in this entire narrative.
Well, I can explain because he wasn't even the original cut of the movie.
Oh.
Sidewinder was not in the original movie,
Uh-huh.
Captain America: Brave New World. So when they did the reshoots, they created Sidewinder. That's when Giancarlo Esposito got cast. So I can run through the timeline about the reshoot drama of Captain America: Brave New World.
Enlighten me.
No, I think this is a little bit overblown. There's a lot of information people saying got reshot 3-4 times, months and months of reshoots. I don't know. I wasn't on set for this movie a single day. Believe it or not.
Whoa, I thought you were.
A single day. So I have no fucking idea.
That's surprising.
There's a lot of stuff out there. People saying 3-4 times this movie was reshot. Here's what I could find about the timeline for Captain America: Brave New World. But also, real quick, Anthony Mackie says that this is a reset of the MCU that establishes new themes and antagonists for the universe going forward. Now, Captain America: Brave New World, according to director Julius Onus, says the film did not go through multiple reshoots. To quote him, "We only did one period of additional photography, which is the same on all of these movies." Anthony Mackie said the same thing. We did one round of reshoots, which almost every Marvel movie does reshoots. They plan for it. So March 2023, filming on Captain America: Brave New World began in Atlanta, and their plan was to release that movie a year later on May 4th, 2024. By June 2023, the title changed from Captain America New World Order to Captain America Brave New World. They felt the other title was a little bit too aggressive and negative and thought people would be turned off a little bit by it, but it would have made more sense because it actually is kind of what the movie's about. Next up, the film was delayed for its release to July 2024, pushed back 2 months, no big deal. Then, at the end of June 2023, filming was moved to Washington, D.C. October 2023, the film was delayed again to February 14th, 2025. They knew all the way back then that they were going to push it 2 years almost. This was based off test screenings being poorly received. So after these test screenings were poorly received, they decided, let's push the movie a year and a half. And then 3 major sequences were cut from the film, from the original cut, according to journalist Jeff Snyder. On December 2023, Matthew Ortonwas was hired to write additional material for the reshoots, which were scheduled then to last from early to mid-2024. In May 2024, Giancarlo Esposito was confirmed to be appearing in Brave New World at the end of the month of May as part of the reshoots, which began in Atlanta, were scheduled to last for 22 days. Mackie characterized the reshoots as adding a few additional scenes to enhance the film and said there was no retooling or remaking. So Giancarlo Esposito, his character Sidewinder, was not in the original cut. The original cut actually featured the Serpent Society. Now, you can find a few behind-the-scenes images of characters that are not in Brave New World because they were cut from the movie. Serpent Society, I know nothing about. I know that their symbol is a snake. That's about all I know about the Serpent Society, but they were going to be the main characters.
Dodgeball.
They were going to be, I believe, the main antagonists of the film. I'm not sure if Sturm was involved or not, but they were cut from the movie. But there are some BTS photos you can find of characters in the wardrobe of the Serpent Society. They cut them, replaced them basically with Giancarlo Esposito, who really, in the trailers, they made it seem like Giancarlo was like the big bad.
Yeah.
And they made it seem like he has a lot to do with narrative here. However, he's really just an action villain. He shows up in, 3 scenes? 2 of them are action scenes. One of them's a deal made for an interrogation.
And then the prison visit for all the exposition.
Exactly. So his character, like you said, I went into it thinking he was going to have a big, juicy role, just an action role.
The thing is, when in the marketing of this film, it appeared as though he was doing a lot of the action sequences Isaiah Bradley was involved in.
Yeah.
Because they never really showed Carl Lumbly in the marketing. And so I assumed, because they had similar stature and from behind, you could say they look similar, especially on the wide shots.
Are you saying the scene where he jumps out the window?
Yes.
I knew that wasn't Giancarlo.
I thought it was.
Well, because he had white hair.
Okay, I got
And then the interrogation, in the prison cell,
yes,
the shot of Isaiah, that was in the trailer too. That's not Giancarlo.
Well, I only watched the trailer once, so I wasn't super familiar with it.
So if you watch the trailers more recently, I think, or if you watch them multiple times, it's clear that the guy jumping through the window is not Sidewinder.
Okay, gotcha. And I will say,
but they do edit it to make it seem like Sidewinder's involved in this thing.
Exactly. So I thought Giancarlo Esposito was involved in like all of these action sequences, and I thought he was going to be a really big figure, especially in the posters and the floating heads. He's one of the highest heads because he's a big star, and so to see his character's arc to be really small, insignificant, and over so quickly, I was really just kind of like let down. I was like, okay, I guess this is what's happening. And I found the Isaiah Bradley character way more fascinating, way more interesting. I would have liked to see more of him explored. This film probably could have benefited from a really strong opening sequence of Isaiah Bradley in action back in the day, so that we have more of an emotional connection to him.
The opening of this movie just was not good.
Yeah, the opening of this movie, we'll talk about that in a second. But this movie, imagine if this was the opening. Young Isaiah Bradley does some fucking awesome mission as a super soldier and rescues a bunch of people. Really sick sequence. Cut to whatever it is now. He owns his gym. Nobody knows who he is. He's forgotten. And you can feel the pain and stuff. That's the first 6 minutes right there. You know who this guy is. You can really feel it. Rather than like this film, what this film does so much of is just spoon feeds you information with dialogue. This is who this is. Blah, 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 blah. This is what happened to him. Why not just show it all? I think that would have been, imagine if it opened with a sequence in the friggin' 70s.
That would have been cool.
Of him. And then we see him older. So then we have a really great connection of who he is, what he's been through, rather than everybody just says, this is why he's mad. This is why he would have assassinated president. All this was taken away from him. It's said to the audience 3 times. Another great example of like This film and many other recent films, they forego filmmaking and instead choose to just tell the audience with words what's happening. So, for example, when Isaiah shoots at the president and through the security footage, Sam's like, man, he had him in his crosshairs. How did he not hit Thaddeus Ross? Like, it doesn't make any sense why the bullet didn't even strike the president. He was right there. What they should have done was, it's just like blows my mind. I was thinking this while watching the film. They could have cut to, like, after the assassination attempt. Imagine this scene. You cut to Thaddeus Ross. He's with his medics, the team. Everyone, they check him out. He's like, I'm fine. Imagine he goes into the restroom. He pulls over his tie and there's a bullet hole in his shirt, but he's fine. Imagine seeing that in this movie. That's a scene that it tells you everything you need to know. What the hell's up with Thaddeus Ross? Why did that bullet hit him and not kill him? But instead, this movie decides to just give you the dialogue of like, whoa, he shot right at him, but somehow he's alive. You need to show the audience what's happening, not always tell them. Wouldn't that have been a much more interesting scene?
No, I think you're misinterpreting what happened in the assassination attempt.
No, I'm not.
No, there's specific dialogue where he missed him.
No. Sam says he had him in his crosshairs. How did he not hit him? So what he's implying is, from the footage, the security footage, it shows that Isaiah aimed perfectly at the president and fired right at his chest, pretty much point blank, but somehow he missed. That's what they're saying.
They're saying because he's a Hulk.
Exactly. So in reality, what they should have shown is there was a hole in his shirt and somehow Ross is still alive and not unhurt.
I interpreted it as he missed him.
No, because Wilson said he had this crosshairs right on his chest.
No, I know exactly.
Yeah.
He said that,
Yeah.
but then the next couple of lines are, so what, you think that he was trained to make it look like he was trying to assassinate him?
No, yeah. So,
That's what I'm pretty sure that's kind of what they're going for.
Well, no,
that he missed him.
My interpretation is like they think that Isaiah missed, but in reality Isaiah hit him.
But what if he didn't hit him?
But it seems like he did hit him.
No, according to the rest of the scene, they talk about how he missed him.
Because Thaddeus Ross is standing unhurt.
I
so
know.
They think he missed him.
No, but he doesn't have a hole on him. I think you're looking into it too much.
No. Listen, no.
I think it was all a fake assassination attempt. That's the whole point.
No. I think that. So the way I interpret it is Isaiah did hit him, and the guys think he missed because Ross isn't hurt. So they're like, oh, he must have missed. Because if they hit Ross, he'd be dead. Is what I'm saying.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. I'm just saying, according to the dialogue in the scenes preceding, they said that he missed him.
Guys, let us know what you think.
I'm pretty sure.
Comment on Spotify.
No, it would make more sense to do what you're saying, but
Yeah.
they don't show that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're doing in terms of interpreting it yourself because they didn't show it. They didn't show a hole, so it's like, what
They
if they
should
show?
have.
I'm just saying, based off the script and the scenes and the dialogue, they were saying that he missed.
I know.
And he missed on purpose.
No.
That's what they said. Like, why would they train him to miss a fake,
I disagree.
fake assassination attempt?
Uncut Gems. I disagree.
To set everything in motion.
Uncut Gems,
to not
I disagree.
actually kill him.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah. I know. That's why we're just on different sides.
Like,
of this.
think about if you're Stern.
Yeah.
If you kill him, if you shoot him and he doesn't die, then everyone's gonna be like, why didn't he die?
Yeah.
But you just make it look like an assassination attempt.
But also Stearns knew there's no way a bullet would kill him.
I know.
So,
but other people would know that he didn't get killed by the bullet.
yeah, that's why it's like a hole. They should have had a cool scene.
Well, I think we disagree because I think that they said that he missed, but we got to move on because I want to get to our intermission.
Oh yeah,
And then I want to talk about the opening
the
of
bullet
this movie.
still.
I want to talk about the opening of this movie because it just didn't work for me. The opening 5 minutes
God.
did not work for me.
It was cringe.
One single bit. Now, before we continue, the very best way to support Raiders of the Lost Podcast is to become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast, where you get access to the ad-free version of every single episode. You can listen and watch ad-free without commercial breaks. You can also get access to weekly bonus episodes of the show. That's where the weekly chat lives now, is on Patreon, only for our patrons exclusively. You also get access to our Discord and all kinds of other cool perks like free merchandise. We have 5 different tiers of membership. Each tier goes up and up in price, but you get more and more perks. But for as little as an annual payment of just $10, you can become a member of our Patreon for the whole year, a whole entire 12 months. Pretty cool. Another great way to support the show, leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I love to read these reviews out on Apple, so leave a written one out on Apple. get those ratings up because these help us get seen by new people. They help build reputability for the show. People be like, oh, that show's got 3,000 ratings. I'm gonna give them a shot.
Hell yeah.
Let's see what they got to say about Captain America: Brave New World. I'll give them a chance. And they read the written reviews in Apple and they just laugh their butts off because everyone writes such fun, sweet, insightful things. And I love to read them. Subscribe on YouTube. Of course, we broke 50,000 subs last month, which was a big deal for the show. So keep us going. We want to hit 100,000 by the end of the year. Another great way to support the show, just leave those. No, I already said that.
Yeah.
Share us with your family and friends. Word of mouth is the best way for a podcast to grow. Let them know that there is a movie podcast that they would probably love.
They would definitely
Just
love.
like you.
Just like our friends at movieposters.com, the number one place to get your posters online today. Be sure to use our promo code Raiders10 at movieposters.com. That will get you 10% off your order right now. Be sure to check out their library of all these amazing films and TV shows. They have everything from your favorite Hollywood blockbuster and Marvel action extravaganza to your favorite Hollywood Golden Era classic and even international film posters. For all the collectors out there, they have amazing original movie poster prints all the way from back in the day, as well as all sorts of incredibly rare lobby cards of your favorite classic films. For all of your poster needs, whether they be collector's items or decorating your home with your passion for film, always go to movieposters.com because they are the number one place for posters, and they have a discount code thanks to us, Raiders10. That'll get you 10% off your order, so make that order today.
All right, let's get into our intermission and start with Cinephile, the card game that we like to play, where each card has an actor or actress, and we have to go back and forth naming movies from their filmography until someone can't name anymore, and usually ends with Anthony winning. So let's pull a card. Kristen Stewart, and you can't say Clouds of Sils Maria, which I wouldn't have said anyways.
That's a good one. Juliette Binoche's in that too. Twilight.
Twilight, New Moon.
Twilight Eclipse.
Twilight 4.
Now I need a title, man.
New Moon Saga Part 1.
Huh?
The last
New Moon?
Saga Part 1.
New Moon. I don't think that's what it's called.
Pretty sure.
No, it's not called
Pretty
New Moon.
sure.
It's called...
Twilight.
No, you're about to cheat if you Google it.
No, I'm Googling Twilight New Moon. I'm right.
It's New Moon?
It's New Moon.
New Moon?
Yeah.
Oh, Part 2. New Moon Part 2.
There you go.
I thought it was Breaking Dawn.
The Twilight Saga New Moon.
Oh, gotcha.
So just rearrange the words. Pretty close. All right. Kristen Stewart, Adventureland.
Catch That Kid.
What's that?
The spy one. When she's a little kid.
Oh my God. Panic Room.
Zathura.
She's in Zathura?
Yeah.
John Favreau make that?
He did.
Yeah, that's right. He did that before Elf. All right, Kristen Stewart. What's the one that she did with that guy?
Which one?
Spencer. Not that one, but
Love Lies Bleeding.
good one. Has she done superheroes yet? No, she hasn't done superheroes.
She's strayed away from it.
Oh my gosh. Into the Wild.
Oh, you fucking bitch. Oh man. Come on, Kristen Stewart. Oh my God.
Oh, Anthony's struggling. What?
What's that stoner one that she's in with Jesse Eisenberg?
I was trying to think of that.
The action one.
Running out, man. I feel like you got like 5 seconds left. Yeah.
Charlie's Angels.
That was too late.
No.
Fuck, I was going to say Charlie's Angels. Shit. Fuck. God damn it. I was like, I had that. I'm like, I don't need to think of any others. I got it. Oh, God damn it.
Oh, man.
She's in so many movies.
Yeah,
That's the
she's
funny
in
thing.
a lot of movies.
Oh, what is that movie called?
The one with the guy in that you mentioned earlier?
No, the Jesse Eisenberg, the stoner.
I know, I can't remember it.
Because he's like a agent that's asleep.
I know the first name.
He's like a sleeper.
I know the first word of it, but I can't think of the second word.
Tell me the first word.
No.
I'll come up with it, I promise.
American. Right?
No.
No.
Anyways, let me think of a Kristen Stewart movie that, so I don't lose. Fuck. I'm telling you, this game is so hard. Zombie, no, that's not. It's like Zombieland. I'm like, she's not in
You
Zombieland.
got so excited. Your eyes lit up.
My brain.
Zombieland!
My brain put her in that movie. I'm out. Time's up.
Snow White and Huntsman.
There you go. Let's look.
What's is
graffiti? Is it graffiti something?
No, it's like American something.
Jesse American Eisenberg Kristen. People are screaming probably right now. American Ultra.
Oh, I knew there was American in it.
You got it, man. Totally got it.
Man, I barely pulled out Charlie's Angels. Oh my god. Woo! It was a close one. Let me look up her filmography. I'm
looking
mad at
at it right
myself.
now.
You kicking yourself?
Well, yeah. She's not in as many movies as I thought.
Oh, Crimes of the Future.
Yeah, she's in a bunch of indies. That's the thing.
Yeah. Oh, The Runaways. I remember that. That was a good one. On the Road. Yeah. Catch That Kid. 2004. We were kids when that came out. Damn, that's crazy. All right, good one.
She's been a consistently working actor since she was like 9 years old.
Yeah, she's never stopped. Can't stop, won't stop.
Okay. To the rest of the intermission, let's do our movie quotes. You ready?
Ready.
Okay, here we go. Let me pull it up. All major theme parks have had delays. When they opened Disneyland in 1956, nothing worked. Nothing.
That's John Hammond in Jurassic Park.
Nice. I had a backup quote in case you couldn't
What was the
get it.
backup?
But John, if the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists. But John.
All right, two people talking here. Why did you keep kicking him? You had already won the fight. Did you enjoy it? No, knocking him down was the first fight. I wanted to win all the next ones too, so that he'd leave me alone.
Oh, what is that? I can't think of it.
Ender's Game.
Nice.
Good book.
That was a good book.
Good book.
Good picture. Good adaptation, too.
Pretty good picture.
Good adaptation.
Pretty good picture.
Anthony, guess this movie release here. Mrs. Doubtfire.
1995.
93.
Oh. Well, what year did Hollywood Homicide come out?
2003.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Let's go.
Pull that on my ass.
Let's go.
Harrison's not that old in it, right? He's like,
yeah, 20 years ago old.
yeah.
60.
Man, I was like, there's no way I'm getting this.
Wow. Nice.
All right. I have a fun trivia question for you.
Let's hear it.
Can you name 4 Steven Spielberg movies with aliens?
Close Encounters.
1,
War of the Worlds.
2,
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
3,
And E.T.
4. Can you get 5?
Oh, did you say 5?
No, I said 4, but can you get 5?
There's a 5th one. Let me think.
It's bonus.
It's a bonus.
Yeah.
Spielberg movie with aliens that I didn't say. Let me think. Jaws. Just kidding.
So Anthony's said 4 correct ones. He said War of the Worlds. He said E.T. He said Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And he also said Crystal Skull. 4 alien movies, but there's a 5th one that he's made as well that has aliens in it.
Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind. Oh, it's West Side Story. Just kidding. I'm gonna be mad at myself. I feel like I should know this, but I don't.
Let me know when you give up.
That's a good question. It's a really good question. I don't know.
AI, artificial intelligence.
Motherfuckers! Ah! God damn it.
It's fine. They don't really show up to the end. So it's fine.
There's a good 20 minutes of aliens,
Yeah,
though.
not 20. It's like 5.
15. No, it's like 5.
It's like
15
5 minutes.
They're in it.
They're in it. They are.
They're in there.
They're literally.
They're in
you
there.
can see them.
God damn it. Good one, man. All right, here's my quiz question. Harrison Ford starred in a remake of what famous Billy Wilder film?
Indiana Jones.
Yes.
Just kidding. I have no idea.
Sabrina,
Sabrina.
starring Humphrey Bogart and Audrey Hepburn, and then Harrison Ford starred in the remake.
Is it called Sabrina as well?
It sure is.
Cool,
Wasn't
man.
as good.
Too bad. Do we have any haters this week?
Oh, yeah.
Let's hear some unsubscribes while I pull up a 5-star written review. A great one.
Okay, again, if you want to have your unsubscribed read out on the show, all you got to do is make a funny joke and then throw unsubscribe in there, and we'll read you out. These crack us up. First up, we got Jason Miller, our amazing Godfather patron, who originally requested Count of Monte Cristo for his bonus episode. And he says, not sure if you guys caught it yet, but the Monte Cristo bonus epi from January 28th is just Meet the Robinsons.
Yeah,
Heartbroken, been staring at the unsubscribe button with a bottle of whiskey and a shotgun like Billy Bob.
not sure
Is that
how
in Monsters Ball? Is he referencing?
I think so, yeah. Not sure how that happened. Talk to the IT guy.
That's so funny. Like Billy Bob. Oh, man, that's good. All right, next up. We got Curtis Pomeroy. Sorry, bro. Curtis says, man, did you say Star Troopers? Like Stormtroopers from Star Wars? Completely missed on that one. Unsubscribed.
Did I say Star Troopers?
You said Star Troopers.
I
I knew you meant.
Yeah.
I knew you meant. But you called them Star Troopers.
How they can't shoot.
I thought at first you were talking about Starship Troopers, but then you said they can't shoot, and then I was like, he must be talking about Star
I mean,
Troopers.
sometimes your brain, you think you said the word, but something else
didn't,
comes out
yeah.
and you don't know. That's the problem with having a podcast is people catch you on the shit you don't say right.
Especially when it's mostly unedited. Next up, we got Raz. He said, we were talking about a movie, and he said shit was trash. He called Wolfman trash. And then wrote, I love the pod, though, so I won't unsubscribe this time. Good work, fellas.
I enjoyed Wolfman.
Because you posted a photo of the shirt.
Yeah,
they
thanks.
sent us.
And NBC sent us sweaters
Yeah.
with Wolfman stitched on it.
It's a comfy shirt. It's a comfy crew neck.
Yeah.
Next up, Maddie Gulaga. Don't know where Saskatoon is? Unsubscribed. That was me who didn't know where that it was. I'm guilty of that one. And then Active Mike. Guys, Sioux Falls, San Diego, is indeed in San Diego. It's not indeed in San Diego. It's South Dakota, but it's okay. I thought SD was San Diego. Something's wrong with me, man.
Oh, I thought you were trying to figure out the city.
No, I was trying to figure out the state.
Oh.
I was like, is that San Diego? I'm an idiot. My brain wasn't working yesterday.
Because, yeah. If it was states, then it's...
Yeah, I know. Next up, we got Curtis again. I was just driving in the rain, drinking my coffee. And then somehow I knocked my radio out while listening to you guys on the unsubscribe. While listening to you guys unsubscribed, he sent a photo of his radio literally fell off the face of his dashboard.
Oh, goodness.
It's our fault.
Oh, so it just fell of its own accord?
Yeah. He said somehow he knocked it out. It's because we were too loud, I think. We were yelling. RMS506 on our best investigation films. No Ninth Gate unsubscribe.
Oh.
Totally spaced on that one.
I fucking
That's a
love
great
that
one.
movie.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Such a good opening scene, too.
Super Bowl movie trailers episode. Paul Tosino Jaula. I love you guys, but Anthony clearly mixed up Adrian Brody and Adam Brody. Gives me clear reason to unsubscribe, but since your brother corrected it, I'll resubscribe. I can't believe I called him Adrian Brody like 5 times.
I know. I was waiting for you to finish. You know, I was like, I'm like, don't worry. I was like, don't worry, guys. I'm going to get him.
Oh, my God. Uriel Villegas on Best Super Bowl movie trailers. Not showing love for the trailers. I love the trailers and getting the obvious trivia questions correct. Unsubscribe at the movies. The movie trivia, they're so easy.
Oh, yeah.
They're so easy.
They're too easy.
It's like, it's not even challenging.
It's almost as easy as that Harry Potter trivia show that Helen
Oh
Mirren
my
hosted
God.
where it's nothing to do with Harry Potter at all.
What house is Harry Potter in?
No, it
was
wasn't. It was easier than that.
it was
because
the craziest easy questions
they would
I've
just
ever
show a clip from a scene, and they'd be like, "What happened in that scene?"
They show the scene where the Beauxbatons headmaster, the half giant woman, walks into a lantern in the ceiling, like a
light fixture.
A light fixture, and they asked, "What did she walk into?" That was the trivia
I know.
for the Harry Potter trivia show.
After they played the scene for
And
them.
they wonder why no one watched it.
Because it's too safe. They don't want anyone to lose. They don't want anyone to say, oh, you asked this question, so it's unfair that they got it wrong because they didn't know. That show could have been cool. Terrible.
Ruined it.
One of the worst trivia shows I've ever seen in my life.
We were so excited. We watched the first episode, and then we were like, we're never watching that
After
again.
the first round, I turned it off.
I was like, is this actual trivia? This is fucking insane.
It's nothing to do with
You know how much
trivia.
of a fucking, you know how fucking easy this is for me? This is a
That's
fucking
literally-
joke.
Dude, a 2-year-old could have won that game.
What did she walk into? A light. Correct.
That's what they did. The way they were like, a light fixture? Correct! You're so smart!
Wow!
Congratulations!
Wow!
They're a genius!
2020, what a time, man.
Fucking hell.
Everybody was afraid of making anyone feel bad for a moment. Oh man,
shit.
2020. They fucking what a fucking terrible.
They should just call it the Harry Potter participation game show.
Everybody
you don't have
wins.
to get. It's just everyone wins. That's the thing. Everyone wins. How do you find the winner?
I don't know.
I didn't watch the full episode, so I never found out.
He just goes, nobody lost.
You all win.
All right. Anyways, let's move on to we got Big Sant. I said that Brad Pitt was like 53. Brad Pitt is 61 years old. I'll remain subscribed this time.
61?
How do you look that great at 61? It's insane.
Good genes and a good skincare routine and
That dude's been ripping cigarettes all his life. It's all genes.
good genes. That's why I said
Yeah.
good genes.
No, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
He probably smokes less, if not anymore.
Well, he still smokes.
How do you know?
Because I've seen interviews where he talks about it.
Oh, well, maybe he smokes less.
Maybe.
He probably smokes way less than he used to, if he still smokes. And also, I mean, he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. These people have access to incredible
Tech.
skincare and tech and facials and estheticians that are just the best. He probably gets, these movie stars go to probably the best estheticians in the world.
Yeah.
Let's have half of the stores in Beverly Hills are all aesthetic stores for helping your face and your skin and de-aging, all that shit. Yeah. De-aging serums? Fucking hell, man. Stem cells in your face? Probably.
Tom's probably got some stem cells in his face.
I mean, I'm just I'm
speculating.
If I was a movie star and I was worth hundreds of millions of dollars, I would probably throw some stem cells on my cheeks.
Just throw them on.
Rub them on. Just right over my crow's feet. Yeah, just give me some stem cells.
Spray it on you like a hose.
Yeah. Accidentally lick them. See what they. Just kidding.
It can't be bad.
Just saying.
All right, moving on to Greg Henderson. Jeeps are ass, and knowing your fans means I have to unsubscribe.
Bro, that Jeep is sick.
James drives his Jeep too.
Bro, come on. The Jeep in that Fast and Furious Haagen-Dazs commercial that Ludacris is driving is a fucking tank, man. How can you not like that thing?
Craig, James drives a Jeep now, so.
Not that one, but that thing's fucking sick.
That's cool.
That's a cool truck.
That's cool. That's a cool truck.
That's a cool truck.
James got a defensive for Jeep.
Hey, listen. I like my Jeep. Thing moves, man. Thing moves.
It's a V4.
It is a turbo V4.
Same as mine.
Mine's faster though. No, you have a V6.
No, it's a V4 turbocharged.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, mine's newer. No, mine's fast as fuck, dude.
I wouldn't call it V4 fast as fuck.
It's a turbo V4. It's just for fuel efficiency.
See, I know mine is too. Same thing.
You want?
They're the same. They're
next time
probably
we're
the
going
same.
somewhere, we're gonna go on the highway, and I'm gonna fucking show you how fast.
Are we gonna start from 0 at the highway?
No, but, well, yeah, when we get on the 110. Sure, when we inbound on the 110.
All right, I'll be right behind
I'll show you how fast it is.
Okay. Everyone's favorite comic nerd. Dudes, did you not do research? The thing is a mixture of CGI and practical. It looks amazing to be fully CG. Unsubscribe for lack of knowledge. It is some practical.
The original. Wait, what?
The thing in Fantastic Four.
Oh, the new one.
There is
the
some
new
practical.
one.
Yeah. There's some practical elements, but not all of it.
But there is quite a bit of
There's
mocap
quite a bit.
facial capture.
There's quite a bit.
Yeah. Because I was watching an interview with Eben on the red carpet, and he said that he was in a mocap suit. So I'm assuming that all of it was mocap. Sorry about that, guys.
Your assumption was wrong.
Sorry.
Don't assume. Just speculate. Next up,
That's
Tom.
how you get away with it.
Tom Windsor. Speculation. I mean, that's what the news does. All they do is speculate.
The world's gonna end at some point.
They might do this. This is the news. This might happen. It's possible. This could happen.
This is happening. We think.
Bullshit. All right. Next up, Tom Windsor. Io was gonna be in the Thunderbolts, but the scheduling conflict, so that's why she's not in it for scheduling. Unsubscribe for not knowing that.
For who?
Io Debris. We were trying to figure out
Io Debris.
if she was gonna be in Thunderbolts.
You said I just heard Aya. I was like,
I said Io. Anyways, Connor Wilkins. It's Super Bowl 59. You goofy goobers. Unsubscribe.
I was one off. I said 58.
We said 53.
You said 53, but I also said I think 58.
Did you?
Yep. I remember specifically saying 58 because then I looked it up later. I was one off, and I was like, I was one off.
You said that to yourself?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, my head, my inner head said that to me. You know,
Your inner dialogue.
You know how you chat with yourself.
All right, David.
Why do you do such stupid shit? That's usually what.
Oh man, that's rough. David Hicken. First comment. Celebrate. I have spoken to you guys before. My top podcast chaps. Keep up the good work. I'm still not unsubscribing. I replied, "You're the best."
Cheers,
Thanks,
mate.
Thanks, man. All right, Koftash. James knows the year Hot Fuzz came out, but he doesn't know that Kate Blanchett is in it. Unsubscribed.
Make it
make sense.
To be fair, she's wearing a mask and goggles and in a jumpsuit the whole time she's in the movie.
I think it's pretty obvious it's Kate Blanchett.
No, I know it's Kate Blanchett, but to be fair, I haven't seen it in a while.
That's a real fan deep track right there. That's a deep reference.
Yeah.
That's a deep track reference. I love it.
That's a tough one. If you're playing Cinephile, there's no way Hot Fuzz is coming in your head unless you just saw it. I swear to God. This game is so hard. Once you're in it and you're playing and you get 2 movies in and after that you're like, fuck. Unless they're in franchises, then it's easy.
All right, Nick Yod. Bob Dylan didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature. This is poor research, so I have to unsubscribe.
Thank you for bringing peace, Bob Dylan.
I didn't correct you.
Well,
you said it, and you seemed very confident. I was like, wow.
Close enough.
I was like, wow, that's a really nice award.
Close enough. Nobel Prize, it's the same award ceremony, right?
I'm sure it's the same night. Yeah, I'm sure
it's a big deal.
I'm sure it happens on the same evening.
Yeah, probably.
All right, also on a complete unknown episode, Benji Verdu. Still have not seen it. Unsubscribed. JK, I'll never unsubscribe. Didn't know Rocket Man was a biopic. Best space movie besides Galaxy Quest. Oh, man. All right, movie nerd James YT. I think I'm going to have to stop listening to you guys because I was at the grocery store the other day and the woman in front of me was having a conversation with her child, and all I overheard was the word origins, and without hesitation, I immediately blurted out with a deep growling voice, "Origins!" The mom looked at me in like I was a psychopath, and I wanted to crawl into a hole from embarrassment. For this, I will be unsubscribing.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's just, that was an after reaction to say, like,
I would have done the same thing.
I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with this
If
guy?
I didn't say it out loud, I would have said it in my head. I would have whispered, unsubscribe.
That's really funny. That's amazing.
Jeff Renfro, completely unknown. Newport Film Festival, repeatedly talk about a one-track mind. Unsubscribe. Nice. Clever. All right, next up. Fat Rat. I can't believe you forgot about Gary Oldman's best role as the peacock in Kung Fu Panda 2. Unsubscribed.
Get out of here.
His best role. All right, that's it for unsubscribers. Thanks for everybody just sending them in. They're great jokes. If you have a fun joke or jab at us, please make a fun comment and write unsubscribed, and we'll get you in here.
On YouTube, preferably, because that's
easier.
It's usually
to
where we
find.
get most of them.
YouTube or Spotify is fine.
YouTube is a lot easier for us to keep track of them, for sure. Because we get a lot of comments everywhere else. But if you leave an unsubscribe on YouTube, we'll definitely pick up on it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, 5-star written review on Apple from Senor Spotlight. 5 stars.
Spotlight.
This podcast. Just wait. This podcast has taken away all anxiety of trying to find all movie news myself. You're welcome. That's my main reason for following, but what I didn't know is how entertaining it would end up being. They do all the hard work for you.
All morning, every Saturday.
And now I have more time to stay off the internet.
Nice.
Also, a side effect of the show, as of recently, is that I am developing a thick Boston accent. Especially when I say the word spotlight.
Fucking spotlight. Spotlight guy.
Spotlight.
Fucking spotlight.
Spotlight. Senor Spotlight. Thank you so much, Senor Spotlight, for your review.
It's so random. Oh my god, the jokes are so random.
Fucking Spotlight.
Like to a non-listeners, like what are they even fucking laughing at for?
Fucking hell.
Oh man, thanks, pal.
I'm telling you, man, that's why once you like become a fan of our show, you're in it, man. You're like, there's no getting out.
We're in your head.
The only way you're out of here, it's like a gang. You get out in a box. That's
One
the
guy
only way.
screams origins in the grocery store. The other guy just keeps saying spotlight.
People are saying double feature to their friends like maniacs. Like, just say the full words. No, I'm going to a double feature later. It's just like, what have we done?
Oh man,
we opened up Pandora's box, man.
Fucking spotlight.
For the spotlight. What's your streaming recommendation, Anthony?
It's Spotlight. No. It's Invictus on Max. It's a really good. It's a fucking awesome Clint Eastwood movie. It's not Spotlight, but it's good.
The Spotlight's on Matt. I'm gonna recommend The Gorge. I want to try to watch it this weekend.
Wait, you're recommending it? And you haven't even seen it?
Yeah, it's just recommended. Yeah, I don't have to have seen it.
All right.
I didn't realize there were rules to
I'm
recommendations.
just saying, how can you recommend something you haven't even tried?
But it's supposed
I wouldn't recommend someone to go to a restaurant I've never been to.
I would if I saw the videos and it looked sick.
Actually, that's a good point.
I'd be like, hey, this place looks great. I recommend going there.
Okay.
Or hey, this hospital sounds pretty solid.
Who recommend?
What? For your surgery, I recommend going there. You know what I mean?
So random. All right. I got you.
Watch The Gorge.
The Gorge.
All right, let's get back to Captain America: Brave New World. Let's talk about the opening of this movie.
Oh God.
Because I don't understand how you don't open this movie with either like Anthony had a great idea.
Thank you.
You show Isaiah in the past, in the 70s, Vietnam,
we
wherever.
should make these fucking movies.
And he's Winter Soldier. I mean, he's Captain America.
Yeah.
And then show his journey to probably being prosecuted in courts, maybe for war crimes, which is why he gets ignored and erased from history, persecution, goes to jail. Show that.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
Great opening.
But instead, or even show Sam on a mission as the opening. I don't get how the opening scene of these superhero movies isn't Sam or his lead on a mission. It's just super easy. It gets everyone excited. It's a good way to set it up. You know, Winter Soldier, the ship opening. Is that the opening scene? I can't 100% remember. But that scene is awesome. It's fucking badass. But this movie opens with Thaddeus at a campaign speech, which just, the tone felt off. It didn't look terrific. And the film angles were odd. And then
it was like these weird profiles.
And then it was him like on a phone trying to talk to his daughter, and then him on the news, and then a newscaster. It wasn't a strong opening for me.
And okay, so it's not a good sign if the opening 5 minutes of your movie involves mostly the news. It works every once in a while, and it really only works for viral outbreak movies like World War Z, like 28 Days Later, things like that. It's very rare that like a newsreel opening even works. It's just I think it's just a bad sign. It's not a bad writing. Like, I was watching this movie and I was like, are they really opening this movie with the news anchors? Like, are you kidding me? Because it's just spoon-fed exposition. Like, this is the movie. Here's what you need to know. They don't need to show any of that. It was all unnecessary. This movie should just open either like what I said with Isaiah's like origin and his story, or a really cool Sam scene. And we got neither of that. And then the Sam scene was like a really paint-by-the-numbers Marvel action opener. It's silly. It's light. Again, just like superhero landing. Let me hit all these bad guys at once. And it's just like, I don't even find these action sequences interesting anymore.
It was very Winter Soldier-y. You know, not landing on a ship. He's landing on ground. They're watching from above. Then he gets help, gets back up. I agree, but also there's some loopholes with his action, and I'm not talking about his strength. I'm talking about his sidekicks. He's got was it Sidewing?
Yeah,
his two robo wings.
Oh, the little
the
bots?
side wings, like little bots, right?
Yeah.
He uses them oftentimes to stun people and help them in fights and stabilize people, and then he could just use it like he's going 1-on-1 against this big guy who like breaks a rib. And he's like, oh, I got shit to do. Let's get this over with now.
Yeah.
Why don't you get Sidewing in here and just help fuck shit up for you?
Yeah, I mean, I get what they're like, oh, he likes to fight because he smiles too, but then it's also you're letting Sidewinder get away by wasting time with this guy when you don't have to.
Yeah, but I mean, it's fine. It just, that was okay. I just didn't love the way it opened before that. And also, there are moments in this movie that feel so out of place. Like I said, they're going for this political thriller tone, but then they're constantly putting their feet back in the waters of campy Marvel.
Sure.
Which works for some scenes in some movies and works for entire runtimes of other movies, but I wish they just stayed dark and stayed in the tone of Winter Soldier has so many great upbeat moments, but they worked, they landed. And I think that's because the Russo brothers, they know how to make a comic book movie really good. They know how to make a comic book movie really funny. And I don't think it really worked out super well in this movie with those tone shifts. And I'm talking specifically, Sam gets invited to the White House. He takes Isaiah and Joaquin.
Oh my God, I know what you mean.
And then they're in a limo ride, and then it's like a party bus, and like, oh, we got the good champagne. And it's like, oh, we're partying. It's like, what is going on?
My audience was crickets.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Did they think this is going to be funny?
I don't know what that entire scene was. I don't know.
I mean, I get if you're going to like the club or you're going to like, I don't know, but like they were acting like they were going to a bachelor party. But you go to the fucking White House.
Yeah.
It felt out of character for the rest of the movie for Sam.
That seemed like a scene that Marvel was like, can we add a scene and make it fun?
I think so too, yeah.
I think that was like a scene that was just like a reshoot. Hey, add some liveliness to this movie. And it just doesn't feel. You're right. It felt very out of place.
It just was an odd scene, but there's a couple of moments in these movies that felt like that.
I got two really, really, really big loopholes in this film. plot holes in this film that just they still don't make any sense to me. So first of all, and they both involve Stearns. And this, it was just bothering me while watching the film. I'm like, this doesn't, they're not explaining how this is even working. So the first one is going to be the pills. That will be the second one I mentioned. Don't let me forget. So the pills is my second one.
Pills.
The first point is the brainwashing. And like I said earlier in the episode, Manchurian Candidate goes into great detail of how the brainwashing, it takes weeks and it takes incredibly intelligent people to brainwash these soldiers to do specific things. And so much extensive work was put into making this sleeper in the White House, right? In this film, it makes no sense that, like, okay, I'll buy that Stearns has created using this song. There's probably some frequency in it that, fucks with someone's head. Okay, I'll give you that. But it doesn't make any sense that if a soldier hears this song, he suddenly does exactly what Stern wants him to do. It makes no sense in terms of action of like, you hear this song and then you know who to kill, what to do, how to kill, exactly what the plan is. That makes no sense at all. Yeah. So the way I interpret the brainwash stuff is obviously they got lots of shots of that lone chair in his laboratory that people I'm assuming every soldier that's susceptible to the music has been there, has been brainwashed there, and then he's just waiting to activate them. They're waiting to be activated. But that's a good point. For example, when the radio of the soldiers, after they leave that compound, after they leave the lab and they're outside in the car, the agents there as well, the radio goes off and the 5 soldiers become evil. You're right. How do they know who to kill? Unless I guess he's brainwashed them to kill these specific targets. Joaquin, Sam, this agent. But how has he brainwashed them? It seems to, like, I'll give you like the 5 guys at the White House, right? He somehow got to all of them, but it just seems to be like randomly he can get people all over the place and they know exactly. It just seemed too randomized for me. Yeah, I get it. It's just plot, man. Yeah, it just seemed too like, I don't know. It's also like, how does he know to be at the Navy tactical compound? Yeah. Just so that the camera can cut to him and be like, oh, this is badass. And he has a line of dialogue with him. Yeah. And then number 2, the pills. And so Stearns has been feeding Thaddeus Ross these pills, saved his heart, saved his life. And Thaddeus owed him big time. And he's probably been taking these pills for, you can assume, several years at least. Right? And as we learn in the film, Stearns laced the pills with intense amounts of gamma ray radiation to the point where now Thaddeus Ross is so radiated that he is now a Hulk. I don't understand how nobody picked up on this guy's blood work, any medical exams. Thaddeus Ross is old. He's also a very important political figure. They're getting medical exams all the time. And on top of that, if you're taking pills daily, your doctor is going to be checking your blood to see what's going on. It didn't make any sense to me that nobody had ever detected radiation in his body ever in all of this time. I just found it to be kind of like, how did nobody know this? Has he never had a medical exam in the last 10 years? You know what I mean? Well, I wouldn't say he never had a medical exam. I would say Stern just became his primary doctor. I get that, but but presidents have hid ailments in the past. Well, they've hid them, but he doesn't know. True. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, yeah, you're right. From that perspective of, it's not like Roosevelt who's hiding, being paralyzed waist down, and obviously being photographed seated behind tables to hide that he's in a wheelchair. That makes sense that Thaddeus didn't know. So if he's a president, he's getting checkups regularly. He has another doctor, multiple doctors. So sure, I can see that. I'm more concerned of no one noticed that he punches things and they crack and he's an 80-year-old man. Yeah. The table cracks. It's nobody said a word. It's made of stone, guys. Yeah. No one wants to look into that. That's another 82-year-old man just punched a coffee table and it cracked. A marble coffee table. Yeah. I get 100%. No one's gonna talk about this. Yeah. Okay. But something that they did do well in this movie, casting Harrison Ford. Yeah. Harrison Ford's awesome. He's the man. He still got it. He's definitely showing his age for sure the last few years with this and the last Indiana Jones movie, but recastings in the MCU aren't anything new.
Harrison Ford replaces the late William Hurt as Thaddeus Ross, making this Ford's first appearance in the MCU. This also marks the 6th time that a role was recast in the MCU so far. The previous 5 recastings were Don Cheadle as War Machine. He replaced Terrence Howard. Remember that whole drama was released several years later where he was offered a pretty goddamn low salary for the second film after being in Iron Man 1, so he walked. Mark Ruffalo was the Hulk, replacing Edward Norton. Zachary Levi as Fandral, replaced by Josh Dallas. Ross Marquand as Red Skull, replaced by Hugo Weaving. And then Catherine Newton as Teenage Cassie, she replaced Emma Fuhrman. I'm sorry, I was saying that wrong. So Mark Ruffalo replaced Edward Norton.
Yeah.
Zachary Levi replaced Josh Dallas. Ross Marquand as Red Skull replaced Hugo Weaving. That one didn't make a ton of sense. And then Catherine Newton as Teenage Cassie replaced Emma Fuhrman. Several roles were recast in What If, and Ford is the first casting replacement due to a real-life death. Hurt passed away March 13th, 2022. Of course, everyone was speculating whether or not for Black Panther 2, T'Challa getting recast, but they didn't go through with that. And Chadwick Boseman is the only person to have played T'Challa. I think the belief is that his son will be the next Black Panther after Shuri. Mm-hmm. So that's all the recent and all the recastings that have happened in the MCU.
Okay, that's cool. Well, I mean, and at the end of the day, I mean, your film's only as strong as your villain. And Tim Blake Nelson, Samuel Stearns, who was, billed as a super genius, didn't seem like one. He never felt like a super genius, and for plot conveniences, he turned up at the right parts of certain moments. But it just seemed like he was always being defeated in every moment, like you mentioned earlier. And it didn't ever feel like he got the upper hand on anyone until the very end with Red Hulk. But even then, I was barely feeling that. And then he was like spelling everything out. He's like, now I have to turn myself in to get what I want. It's like, okay.
I didn't love his motivation either. It seemed very singular.
Yeah.
It seemed just he wants revenge on Thaddeus. It didn't seem the scope was big enough compared to what the movie was promising us, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And also, critics do not like this movie. It's rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. I have a bunch of lines from bunch of different magazines and media companies if you'd like to hear them.
I would love to hear them.
So, polarized. This is specifically talking about the visuals. Critics are polarized. From the New York Post, the White House fight scene had so cheap and cheesy animation that it was unable to be taken seriously, and that level of leader caused a hearty guffaw because of the poor makeup and prosthetics. Collider wrote that the CGI in the film was worse than The Incredible Hulk in 2008, released nearly 2 decades earlier, and concluded it was unconvincing. Vulture's Bilge Ebery wrote that the visual effects heavy sequences are so lifeless and tiresome that I felt my eyes drifting closed a couple of times. RogerEbert.com and Screen Rant both praised the visual effects on Red Hulk, though Screen Rant felt the cherry blossoms were a green screen mess. The New York Times wrote that the visuals were garish and slapdish. The Wrap called the visuals drab and unfinished, criticizing Wilson's CGI wings as proof of concept that proves nothing. They wrote the film also looks so clean it looks completely fake. And the Hollywood Reporter wrote the CGI was underwhelming and at other times even worse, but were amused from recognizing Ford's features in the Hulk. I think these criticisms are a bit harsh. One that I do agree with, though, is this movie looks so clean. It looks so airbrushed, especially when we're outdoors. Contrast from shadows, it's hardly there. It's everything looks so pristine and perfect, not a single blemish anywhere. And stuff like that takes me out of movies. And that was taking me out of this movie for sure, especially during the big CGI, this visual effects shots. Everything looks too pristine.
And the cherry blossom sequence, I would say, was the worst part of CGI in the film. I just think that the cherry blossoms never looked real. It always looked like a flat surface, and it was just obvious green screen. And there were also multiple times in exteriors where the light source direction of the sun did not match where it was hitting the person. And so it was clearly, there's just not matching what was hitting the person's face or body. And they didn't, I think there were shots where they didn't line up the source of sunlight and its proper direction at all. And it probably looked better for the overall shot, but You're looking at the frame, and the sun's on the right, and then the sunlight is hitting the person on the other side of their face. I noticed multiple instances of that during sequences, especially the big finale.
Yeah, so the cherry blossom sequence at the end, I was under the impression that a lot of that was practical, but the cherry blossoms there weren't, but the cemetery there were real. So I guess so the ones on the street fight between Hulk and Sam were not real.
Yeah.
But did you see the glaringly replaced shot of Sam Wilson from Reshoots, CGI'd, superimposed during that climax?
No. Tell me.
It was after the fight when he talks Hulk down. When Mackey's talking Hulk down, that is clearly reshot separately, green screen superimposed on, new dialogue, new whatever. And I'm just curious to see what the original cut of this movie was.
I think that there was quite a bit that was different and changed. It seems like it's like kind of like a mad dash effort to salvage what they were working with after cutting a lot. And from what I read, the film had much heavier political undertones and even involved the campaign of Thaddeus Ross as a frightful right-wing figure. And it would kind of make sense. And the film opens with like him giving the speech of like our country is in chaos, and I'm like, they're not showing the country in chaos. And like they're like the country's a mess, and I'm like, we're not seeing this on the screen. Like, how is the country a mess? Can we get any specific details of what's even happening? They didn't. They just said, oh, the country's on fire. That's it. That was it. So I think there was a lot more, I think, built up to the election of him as president that they maybe cut out because it wasn't going to track well. That's my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably they wanted, like we said in the opening of the movie, this is a very safe movie.
Yeah.
They didn't really take too many risks to be great. Maybe that would have made the movie great, but at the risk of pissing a lot of people off. Or maybe it wouldn't have been great, and people would have been pissed off by it anyways. Who knows? I mean, we'll never know, but, we have some cool cameos. It's so.
I think the cameos were good.
Sebastian Stan, it's always great to see him. And I'm very excited for Thunderbolts, and also Liv Tyler coming back for a cameo as what's her name, Betty?
Yeah, Betty Ross. Can you tell me? I left when it ended. Can you tell me about the post credits and mid credit scene?
There's only one post credit scene. It was a waste of time. Everyone was so disappointed.
So there was no mid credit one.
No mid credit one, and then so the full credit roll.
Gotcha.
Everyone was excited, like, oh. Everyone in the theater like gasped, like, oh, like groaned, like that's it from the post credit scene. It's literally just Mackie as Sam talking to Stern in that prison, same kind of prison that Thaddeus is in. And Thaddeus, Stern, I can't remember what he says, but he's like, he brings up there's different dimensions, and he's like, my calculations, I've seen it in my calculations or something. He talks about, it's basically alluding to the multiverse.
I would love to see any of these calculations on the fucking screen. Like, once again, everything's just told to the audience. Nothing is shown. So like, this guy's supposed to be some super genius, and what's his lab? It's just photos of super serum people, and like, that's it.
Yeah. So that the end credit scene, they could have just put that in the movie.
Yeah.
Again, just warning Sam of coming attacks from other worlds. Everyone was just like,
especially after like you sit through that movie and you're like, okay, maybe the post credit will be exciting.
Yeah, but I like to sit through credits. I always stay for credits.
Yeah,
I like to show my respect, but Marvel movie credits are long. There's a lot of visual effects artists in a lot of different locations, so a lot of people have credits in this movie, and so it's like you're sitting there for like 25 minutes.
It was because I left when the film ended, and it wasn't because I didn't watch the credits, because I was meeting someone right after the film. And so I had to leave like as soon as it was done, and I was shocked when I looked at my phone to see the time, and the movie's runtime on paper it's 158 with the credits included, but I think it was like 147, maybe even 145 of actual runtime of film. Like it was. I looked at so the film started at 3:30 because the showtime was 3, so the film started at 3:30, and then when it ended it was 5:12. It was 5:12 when I looked at my phone.
It felt long.
Yeah.
Even though
it
was
felt
very
long.
short.
Yeah, it felt long.
There's another character we haven't talked about yet. I totally forgot. Ruth Bat Seraph, played by Shira Haas. And she does a good job. She's fine.
She's a good actor.
Good actress.
I liked the character at first, but then throwing in the comedy didn't really work when she was talking about how handsome Bucky was.
Yeah, that came out of left field.
Yeah, I was like that doesn't.
I can work with that.
I was like
what?
that does not fit with the character at all. Like that, this character you portrayed for the first hour of being very hard and very controlled and
hostile,
and also like takes her job very, very seriously. And now she's talking about like trying to make moves on Bucky, and I was like, that just didn't work at all for this character.
Yeah.
So I agree. I wasn't totally sold, but I think she did a good job in the acting department. I think she held her own really well.
And then Layla Taylor, played by Josha Rucker-Moore. She's a Secret Service agent. She's basically Ross's right-hand man, who I'm guessing will have a continued future in the MCU going forward, because she was kind of obviously his top agent, but it seemed that as he was making negative decisions, she was sort of trying to withdraw from him, and she was also the first person to pull a gun on him when he turned Red Hulk.
I will say I didn't quite like that character arc, because you would assume that like the person that the president appoints as head of Secret Service is intensely loyal. You know what I mean? And I just didn't quite get like the head of the security would just, be questioning him. She seems to be questioning him the whole film, from the start of the film with the first conversation with Wilson.
Yeah, it's odd that your Secret Service is your confidant, whereas it should be your vice president, or Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State,
and they're fiercely loyal. The Secret Service agents, especially the head,
they'll die for you.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't really like how she was already just like, she seems a little on the fence about Thaddeus Ross and like entertains these conversations of Wilson like questioning him. I was just like, I feel like the Secret Service agent would be like, that's my guy, so shut the fuck up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But also that's like what the vice president's there for.
Yeah. Would it have been more interesting if the final fight could have somehow taken place on the actual god in the water? Like on the hand?
Oh, on the Celestial?
On the Celestial?
I mean, that could
rather
have
than
cool.
flying around it, I think it would have been cool if it was like Wilson versus Red Hulk on the hand.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
I think that could have been a cool set piece.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways, I mean, that's about all I have on Captain America: Brave New World.
It's not as bad as a lot of people are saying it is.
Yeah, I think
it's just fine.
It's overblown how bad it is, but again, it's just not a great movie. It has the potential to be there, but I know we're a little overcritical of it, or quite overcritical of it, but
I mean, yeah,
it's a $300 million movie that, people are asking us to go pay to see, and if we're going to go pay to see it,
make it worth our time.
Exactly.
That's what I mean. I think studios are starting to get back into it, the last year especially, of, what, we need to entertain people as best as we can again. And it's like we need to put everything else aside, and this is a show. This is entertainment. Let's give them a good show. And part of the good show comes with a good story in this medium, the film medium.
Story's king.
Story is everything.
It's
and
number
so
one.
And again, I think this is an example of, it doesn't matter how many visual effects you have, doesn't matter how many explosions and jets you have. If the story doesn't work, audiences are going to reject it at the end of the day.
And I think that's probably what happened. All right.
It was fine. It was fine.
It was a fine precursor, or it's just holding the mantle. It's passing off.
I will say I'm really happy with Mackie as Captain America.
Yeah, I think that's great. He's great.
The biggest takeaway from the film is Mackie is great as Cap.
If you got a problem with Mackie as Cap, then
I got a problem with you.
Just relax. It's a fucking superhero movie, guys. Yeah. He's totally fine as as Cap.
Yeah.
I have no problem with Mackie being Captain America. It's fucking sick. He's cool.
He's a cool dude.
He'll probably get another 10 years out of it. Then I think he'll probably be done with the role. But that's all we got for Brave New World, originally titled New World Order. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to do all the things, the subscribing on YouTube, the becoming a patron at patreon.com/Raiders of Lost Podcast, the liking of our videos on Instagram and TikTok, the rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Do all of those things, and you will make us very happy people.
Indeed.
And yeah, that's it. Take care.
See you next time.
This episode was brought to you by our chosen one patrons, Jacob Kossler and Nicholas Martin. Thanks so much, boys. Raiders of the Lost Podcast is a mirror image production. Sound mixing done by Jacob Kossler. Opening music by Chase Jackson.